What up guys, Miguel here from Yugatech, and gaming is one, if not the most crucial factor when it comes to choosing a smartphone. The more a phone can handle graphically demanding titles with no stutter, the better, right? However, top-tier gaming performance usually comes at a cost. So it's almost kind of a treat when brands introduce gaming-focused smartphones that are also budget-friendly. And we actually have two of them to talk about, the newly released iTel RS4 and the POCO M6 Pro. Both are equipped with basically the same MediaTek Helio G99 chipset, but stand significantly far from each other when it comes to price. One is on the budget entry level and the other stems from the lower mid-range bracket. With that, we are bound to expect some notable differences. So without further ado, let's have these two up for a comparison review. Straight away, both the iTel RS4 and the POCO M6 Pro don't exactly possess any gaming-oriented design cues. Our iTel RS4 comes in its elegant beige colorway, which opts for a sophisticated faux leather finish accented with zip-line stitches that extend across the phone's rear panel here at the center. There's a large circular camera island too, which definitely gave away its uncanny resemblance to the Realme 12 series. As for the other color options, they come with different finishes and design accents. It is worth mentioning that the silver-white colorway actually looks more like a gaming phone than the one we have here. Meanwhile, the POCO M6 Pro with its purple variant showcases a two-tone glossy and matte finish here at the rear. It looks matte and the other looks more glossy, but it's actually all glossy, to be honest. The camera lenses have their own rings, including the dual-tone flash as well, with their outlines matching the phone's overall colorway. Both the phone's frames come with a plastic-looking material, but they do match their own colors as well. See? One thing to note about the M6 Pro's build quality is it gets an IP54 rating for protection against water splashes and dust. The iTel RS4 unfortunately doesn't have any of that ingress protection or IP rating. While design and build is subjective, having a phone that offers a bit more extended protection is always a plus. Flip to the front, and the iTel RS4 sports a 6.56-inch HD Plus IPS LCD. Yup, HD Plus, or basically 720p. Screen brightness also takes a hit. Since this is an LCD panel, expect low screen visibility, especially on a sunny day. It does run at a 120Hz refresh rate, so we can still expect smooth navigation using this phone. On the other hand, the POCO M6 Pro fills these gaps with its 6.67-inch Full HD Plus AMOLED display, also running at 120Hz refresh rate. And it is also able to reach up to a whopping 1800 nits of peak brightness. Adding to that, it gets Gorilla Glass 5 protection on top, making it relatively scratch resistant. Both units come pre-installed with a screen protector film, which is nice, saving you a screen protector purchase till those wear out. Another advantage of the M6 Pro is its thin bezels, as they almost look equally symmetrical on all sides. The RS4 has significantly thicker borders, and look at that monstrous chin. But if we were evaluating price alone, this wouldn't be that big of a deal. Thankfully, both phones also get dual stereo speakers, and if audio quality isn't satisfying enough, you'll be glad to know that both of them have 3.5mm audio jacks. As for biometrics, both phones have fingerprint sensors, but the iTel RS4 opts for a side-mounted fingerprint sensor, while the M6 Pro uses an under-display fingerprint sensor. In this segment, the latter clearly dominates with its crisper, brighter AMOLED screen, having a much higher pixel density as well as better-looking bezels. Not to mention, it also gets Dolby Atmos support for a more immersive sound quality. As you may have known already, both phones feature the same chipset from MediaTek, the Helio G99. Albeit, the iTel RS4 adds an Ultimate wording, and the same treatment goes for the POCO M6 Pro, but with the word Ultra. We tried to research what the differences are between the Helio G99 Ultimate and the Helio G99 Ultra. But, apparently, this is all just marketing bullshit. Both chipsets have the same 6nm process node and up to 2.2 GHz clock speeds, at least according to iTel and POCO's respective websites. To add to the confusion, None of these chipset variants even appear on the official MediaTek website. With that said, we can technically expect similar performance from both devices. In fact, our various benchmark results showed no drastic gap between the iTel RS4 and POCO M6 Pro. Check out the numbers here. As expected, we had no problem playing less demanding games such as Mobile Legends Bang Bang on both models. However, you may have to set your expectations low when it comes to graphically intensive titles like Genshin Impact. The game is playable but only with graphics set to low. Any higher than that will end up in frame rate drops and will make the phone heat up pretty quickly. For configs, the iTel RS4 comes in either 8GB of RAM and 128GB of internal storage, or 12GB of RAM paired with 256GB options. While the POCO M6 Pro starts at 8GB of RAM plus 256GB of internal storage and also offers a higher storage option at 12GB of RAM plus 512GB of internal storage. Both phones have expandable storage, but it seems that the RS4 has the edge here thanks to its dedicated microSD card slot. The M6 Pro is only left with a hybrid slot, so you have to choose whether to use a second SIM or sacrifice it for storage expansion. The camera department is another aspect where the POCO M6 Pro shines. It boasts a triple camera system led by a 64-megapixel main shooter with support for optical image stabilization. Complementing this setup is an 8-megapixel ultrawide and a 2-megapixel macro lens. And the front sees a 16-megapixel selfie shooter. Photos captured on the M6 Pro are generally good with sharp detail and vibrant colors. The phone also covers decent dynamic range. However, the phone's autofocus seems to struggle in less than favorable lighting conditions. As for videos, it can capture up to Full HD or 1080p resolution at 30 or 60 frames per second with the main cameras. Video quality is nice, especially with that sweet OIS to boot. The iTel RS4, on the other hand, features a dual camera setup with a 50-megapixel main shooter paired with a secondary lens that iTel claims to be an AI camera. Still, photos are acceptable for the price. Colors are produced close to reality, sure, and clarity is decent, but it handles dynamic range pretty bad. Interestingly, the iTel RS4's video recording capability goes up to 2K resolution, which is 720p x 4, which is a bummer for the POCO M6 Pro as it does more or less share the same chipset. The iTel RS4 offers ultra steady mode for stabilizing shaky footage, but this likely relies on electronic image stabilization, which isn't always as effective as optical image stabilization. Moving on to the battery department, both phones offer the usual 5000 mAh unit. With the same battery capacity along with the same chipset, we could expect roughly the same battery life, right? Well, our testing says otherwise. In our PC MarkWork 3.0 battery test, the iTel RS4 outlasted the POCO M6 Pro with a solid 17 hours and 39 minutes compared to the latter's 12 hours and 39 minutes. The same holds true in our video loop test, where the iTel RS4 clocked in at 20 hours and 55 minutes versus the POCO M6 Pro's 11 hours and 51 minutes. The difference is quite significant, don't you think? Our theory is that the iTel RS4's lower screen resolution plays a role. Since its display resolution is only an HD plus 1, it's inherently more power efficient compared to powering a phone like the POCO M6 Pro with a higher 1.5K resolution AMOLED screen. The catch is you get a faster 67-watt charging rate with the M6 Pro. It charges the phone up from 0 to full in just 45 minutes. Although, the iTel RS4 isn't that far behind with support for 45-watt charging that gets the phone up to 80% in just half an hour. One major letdown for some of you is the absence of 5G that applies for both phones. They're only capped at 4G connectivity. Software-wise, both run on Android 13 out of the box. The M6 Pro runs on MIUI 14 for POCO, which is upgradable to Xiaomi HyperOS, although we haven't gotten the update over the air just yet. It will also receive 2 major OS updates and 3 years of security patches. In comparison, iTel really hasn't disclosed any software pledges. So if you consider longer software support, then the POCO M6 Pro is waving at you. Additionally, the M6 Pro has a handy IR blaster at the top here, which allows users to use it as a universal remote, so that's definitely a plus for more utility. Now, let's answer the question, which one should you get? Well, that depends on your priorities and how much you're willing to spend. The iTel RS4 is surprisingly a strong budget contender for just 6,299 pesos. It delivers decent performance for everyday tasks and even some casual gaming, all wrapped in a stylish, though slightly chinny package. However, end users may want to prepare themselves to compromise on display quality and camera prowess. Meanwhile, the POCO M6 Pro absolutely takes things up a notch, albeit at a higher cost. Coming in at 11,999 pesos, it boasts a superior display, a more versatile camera system, and faster charging. It even throws in some bonus features like an IP rating and an IR blaster for good measure. So, do you want a budget warrior that can handle the basics, or a more polished performer with a few extra bells and whistles? Ultimately, the choice is yours. So, that wraps up this comparison between the iTel RS4 and the POCO M6 Pro. Which one is your best bet? Let us know in the comment section below. And if you enjoyed this video or found it informative, or if it's helped you make a purchasing decision, be sure to smack that like button, subscribe to our YouTube channel, hit that bell icon so you get notified of our future uploads. Be sure to visit yugatech.com and follow us on our socials, that is Facebook, Instagram, X, and TikTok, for the latest tech news and reviews. Once again, this has been Miguel, and I will see you in the next one. Cheers.